Hey guys, Chris O'Hearn here, and on the Strong WIthin Affirmation Podcast, number 622, the one that I put out last week, the affirmation was, I treat others as I want to be treated. And if you look at that on the surface level, it seems like we are doing things for other people because of how we want to be treated. And that's a good thing. It's kind of like what the golden rule is. Do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. But I think what I really wanted to get out of that affirmation was talking more about expectations, about how sometimes we're giving really to get. We're giving our love because we want it to be returned to us, and we want people to share the same feelings that we have. You know, for me, I know there have been times where I'm holding the door open for someone and they don't say thank you. And then I get pissed because they don't say thank you. And it's like, I'm like, where's the courtesy in this world? No one seems to have any. These kids nowadays, showing my age right now, no respect. But what I realize is when I step back and I find the calm that I want, and what I really want to focus on is that I realize what I'm doing from when opening up the door, it's not about getting a thank you. It's about doing it because it's who I am. It's about opening up the door for people because, not just because I want it opened for me, but it's what I want to do, regardless if someone says thank you or not. That I want to be kind and caring in sometimes what can seem like an uncaring world. And I want to say that everyone has something to teach us, whether it be good or bad events that we go in our lives. And I was reminded of, I was going through a breakup at the time, and I was really sad and depressed about the aspect of what had happened. And it was kind of these questions of my worth. Am I not worthy because this person doesn't love me anymore? Am I this horrible person because I can't get this person to love me? And what I realized, it was more about me. While I wished for love from this person, the reason the sadness was happening was not just because of the breakup. It was the information that I was putting towards the breakup. And I remember my mentor at the time, he was telling me to do this activity. And this activity was to list all the people who were important in my life and to write down this is what he said. He actually challenged me. He says to write down in a sentence what that person meant to you. But he said, I'm going to challenge you a little bit more. I want you to break it down even further. Instead of it being a sentence, I want you to write in one word what this person meant to you, what they taught you. And so I thought about it for a while, went through my mom, my dad, my friends, and all these other things. And I went through this person who I'd just broken up with. And I wrote something down at the time. And it felt good, whatever I wrote down. I can't even remember exactly what it was at the moment. I've written a story about it, and when I published my book, I think I have it in there as well. So it's just, I'm so far away from it now. And so I wrote down this word, and what happened was I was on one of my walks, and it was probably maybe 2 weeks later, this epiphany came to me, and this whole other word of what this person had taught me was totally different than what I had written down. And what I wrote down was this person taught me about rejection. And so when I wrote this down in my journal of what this person taught me, it wasn't that, hey, rejection was okay. It was that some people have said this, and I like this aspect, rejection is redirection. And I want to take that even further, is the rejection was just showing that if someone didn't love me, if someone broke up with me, if someone didn't feel the same way that I felt, that was okay. It didn't have anything to do with my self-worth of whether I was worthy of love for this person or not. And yes, maybe I needed to change things because maybe I wasn't being a good boyfriend or whatever it was. But it was the aspect of just because someone had, I don't even want to say rejected me, but had broken up with me, the breakup wasn't about who I was as a person. It wasn't about my inherent worth. And that's why I was so upset, because it really wasn't about the other person breaking up with me. Yes, that was part of it, but it was more about that I needed this person to be with me, because I tried to convince them, oh, we need to go back together. We need to be a girlfriend and boyfriend, and that we're meant for each other. But really, that's what it wasn't about. Because I'm not saying I didn't want this person in my life, but it was more about, I wanted this person in my life so that I could prove that I was worthy because I had regained this person's confidence and trust and they wanted to be with me. And so it was never about, I don't want to say it wasn't never about love, but it really wasn't about love. It was more about trying to win this person back so that I could prove that I was worthy, that I could win this person back instead of truly loving this person. And the reason I brought that story up is we allow our emotions to control us. I'm not saying that we won't have emotions. I'm not saying certain things or thoughts won't come into our mind that we feel we have no control over, but we have more control than we think. And what I mean by that, it's not that we can stop every single thought in our head, because our brain is always cycling through things, trying to figure things out. But it's about understanding that we can decide what thoughts we focus on and what emotions we focus on. And our emotions come from our thoughts. And so when you see that you are not your emotions, that you are the soul, that you are the observer, you are the watcher, the person behind all of it, behind all of your actions, behind all of your emotions, behind your thoughts. You are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, you are not your actions. Those are a part of you. And when you can see beyond that, that you are the person watching all this stuff, the observer, then you can associate different information to the emotions and the thoughts that you have. And so when you do that, you can then see that the emotions you have aren't harmful, aren't hurtful, because you can decide to associate different information to it. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that it happens right away. It's probably a lifetime aspect of being emotionally intelligent, stepping back and asking, is this the way that I truly want to feel? And a lot of times, at least in my life, I'll say this, I won't put anyone else out there, it was easier to play the victim. It was easier to blame other people. It was easier to say, well, I'm not happy because of this person's actions, instead of me taking ownership. And we live in this society of victimhood, that this person did this to me, it's not my fault, and then we don't take ownership of anything. We don't take ownership of the way that we feel. We don't take ownership of our thoughts. It was as if someone else was controlling us, which is total BS. So in this podcast, if you'd like to get a little more information on it, it's number 622. But I get into the aspect of asking, are you stepping back and being more aware of the thoughts that you're associating to the event, which is then creating the emotions that you're going through? And the story that I told in the beginning, I was associating that I was worthless, that someone couldn't love me, the person who I thought loved me the most didn't want to be in my life, and I must be this horrible person, and the only way that I can be worthy and love myself again is to win this person back so that I could prove to myself that I was worthy by having someone else win someone back to prove that aspect, that I was worthy, that I could win the person who said they didn't love me anymore. And which is silly, because maybe we aren't meant to be together forever, because we're not. The other aspect is maybe we're only meant to be in each other's lives for a certain lesson, and maybe this is a lesson right now so that I could teach it to you. I could go through it. I could go through that pain and realize something different, and realize that my worth was never dependent on what anyone else thought about me. And so I am looking forward to seeing how you're going to step back, how you're going to ask, how do I want to feel? What are the thoughts that I want to associate to this event? What is the information that I want to put out there? So I step back and I realize that I am not my thoughts, my actions, or my emotions. I'm the observer. I'm the soul, and I can't be hurt by them unless I choose to be hurt by them. So thanks for listening, guys. I'm sending great energy your way as we all become strong within together, as we put our best life forward.